commence vetting of all persons wishing to be parliamentary candidates for the 2024 elections. And still to come on CNR Extra, scores of NDC supporters throng High Court in Tamale to show solidarity as hearing of criminal case against Savelugu Member of Parliament Jacob Idris continues.
Jacob Abdullahi is a very responsible elected Member of Parliament and would never ever be a fugitive of justice. He probably did not exercise good judgment in the reason he provided to the court, which did not please my Lord. But subsequently, we have to avoid a third occurrence of this.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204-7044. That's 0204-447033. And you can join us on our YouTube page as we stream there live on CityTube. Hansen Ajiman, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's bring you the very first story that has to do with the National Democratic Congress. The 13th committee has begun its work at the regional level. Let's bring you the insert starting from the Greater Accra region.
National Democratic Congress, because it has begun vetting nationwide for all persons wishing to be parliamentary candidates for the 2024 elections. In the Greater Accra region, all persons vetted on Monday are confident of winning the internal elections slated for May 13. City News' Akosia Ochre has more.
In the Greater Accra region, vetting for parliamentary aspirants began at about 10 a.m. on Monday at the regional headquarters of the NDC. A 6-member committee, together with the Greater Accra regional executives, spearheaded the vetting exercise. Parliamentary aspirants in the 11 constituencies, that is, Ningo Pram, Okankwe North and Central, Shai Osudoku, Madina, Domekwabinya, Adentan, Trobu, Sigi, Anyaswotum, and Ayawaso West face the vetting committee. Some incumbent members of parliament who are seeking re-election spoke to City News about the process.
I have come to the regional office of the NDC in fulfillment of the processes towards our parliamentary elections on the 13th of May. I went through the vetting. It went pretty smoothly. I am grateful to the regional vetting committee and the national team that came in, and the regional executives and the constituency executives. I assured, in fact, the question was asked that when I came for my vetting 4 years ago, I promised that I was going to do an Operation Gap 20,000, which meant that I was going to give the NDC a 20,000 vote gap on the NPP. We delivered a 30,000 gap, and so I was asked this time what we will do. And I said in the last election we secured 50,000 votes for the NDC. This time around we will secure 100,000 votes. So we've launched Operation 100,000 votes, and I'm confident that with the team I have, we will win the May 13th election, and we will win the general election and give the NDC and John Mahama 100,000 votes. I picked number 1 on the ballot, and I think it's just simple. Our presumptive flag bearer, John Mahama, is also number 1 on the ballot. And as the presumptive parliamentary candidate for Ningo Pram, I'm also number 1 on the ballot. And so to all the delegates in Ningo Pram, you know how we do it. Wayale, John Mahama, number 1, Zoo. Sam George, number 1, Za. So we go John Mahama, Zoo, and Sam George, Za. It's on to work, on to victory. The next 6 weeks, it's to deliver a resounding victory for John Mahama, 98% in the presidential, and at least a 70% for myself in the parliamentary.
And I'm confident that the good people of Medina who saw the potential in me to lead them and gave me an overwhelming endorsement in the 2020 elections, I'm sure the people of Medina are still waiting to give me the same endorsement in 2024 elections and even give us, wider margins, not only for the presidential, but also for the parliamentary. Now, I am also confident that the delegates of Medina, they know what is best for Medina NDC. The delegates know that when it comes to NDC in Medina, there are only two people to be compared. That is Honorable Amadu Sorogo, our former MP, and me, who is the next NDC MP after Sorogo. And you will recall that the people of Medina gave Honorable Sorogo 20 years, to serve them. The first 4 years, he tried, even though he won the vote at the primaries, he couldn't win the main election. The second 4 years, he won the main election. The third 4 years, the second 4 years when he won, were in opposition, like I am now. The third one, when he won, we were now in power. The fourth one, we're in power again. The last one was when he lost in 2016. And so when you compare the fact that we gave Sorogo 20 years as delegate in Medina, and you compare that to me, who is just a new entrant, and I've served them for just 2 years in Parliament, what would be the basis of even comparison in the first place?
Incumbent Member of Parliament for Kaikwe North, Theresa Awuni-Ladi, is the only aspirant in the region going unopposed. While speaking to City News, she touts her achievements as a one-term Member of Parliament.
If I'm not mistaken, this crowd is only coming from Okaikwe North, and when we move, the office is going to be empty. And so it is the trust my people have reposed in me. It is a challenge they have given me. Other candidates are equally qualified to come. But these delegates around here sent a signal that they were not ready to go into any competition whatsoever. It is a challenge they have given me, that go in peace and deliver. And that is what I am assuring them.
For first-time contenders, they believe the prospects of winning is huge.
The questions were basically about my contributions to the party. And essentially that was what it was about. My contributions to the party and the role I played in the party and what I intend to do when I go into Parliament, and whether when I get into Parliament I will be able to play the same role for the party again. And I answered in the affirmative, that's all.
So you are confident that you'll be passed by the vetting committee?
I have already been passed, and I took number 2, which is a sign of victory. Yeah.
You had number 2?
Yes, number 2.
What are some of the questions again they ask you specifically?
I have just said that they asked me about my contributions to the party, which I have told them the role I play on the various committees in the party.
Okay, we want to push you. What are some of the contributions you've made to the party?
I serve on different committees: governance committee, manifesto committee, security committee, all kinds of committees. And of course, there is a lot of work that goes on there. We can't divulge everything here. But once you are on a committee in the party, clearly there is some role or some duties that you perform, and that's all I'm alluding to.
One can't be complacent. One can't be too all-knowing and all too confident. You've got to work. It requires a lot of effort. It's a continuous process. In the last 2 years, I've been working the grounds, really working the grounds and getting so close to the delegates and the constituents. I'm very confident that the work we've put in, the innovative approach we've approached it, the tactics we've embarked on, and obviously in the next few weeks, how we are going to ensure that we maintain the momentum is the surest ways to ensuring that we win. I'm very confident in just not only my abilities, but all the tactics, strategies, and things, effort that we've put into the campaign thus far. Really confident that the delegates of the party would be moved by that.
So there's actually a 3D exercise started yesterday, Monday. It's continuing today, Tuesday, and will carry on to Wednesday. And some of the constituencies that had their PC hopefuls vetted, we have the Okaikwe North, Ningo Prampram, Shai Osudeku. Sege was vetted, but he had to hold on to all the parliamentary candidates. They went on to Domkwabenya, did that of Medina, Adenta, Trobo, Okaikwe Central, Anya Sotium, and they held on to Ayawaso West Wagon, where the race is currently between the actor John Dumelo and also Fred Nyama. Actually, they are all actors and also film producers. But today is going to continue. Krowo is expected to be there. We speak to our colleague who is stationed at the NDC regional office very soon. And actually, she's on, so let's speak to her shortly and have an insight of what is happening at the regional office situated at Southla. Akosia Ochre, good morning. What is happening at the regional office of the National Democratic Congress in Accra?
All right, Philip, it's day 2 of the vetting of parliamentary aspirants of the National Democratic Congress. Yesterday, it began here at the regional office in Accra. Today is day 2, like I said, and it's still ongoing. It initially was supposed to have started at 9, but because of the rain, it couldn't start at the scheduled time, and so it's starting. It started at 10, and the atmosphere here is very charged as more of the aspirants come in with their supporters to go for the vetting. And so that's what is happening here. Philip, yesterday 11 constituencies were supposed to have been vetted, but that didn't happen. I understand that just 10 happened because of the time. And so the last people who were supposed to have been vetted, that is the Ayawaso West. And so today we are supposed to have Ayawaso West joining 10 constituencies to be vetted. And so that's what is happening right here at the headquarters. As I speak to you, Philip, Krowo constituency aspirants are currently being vetted out of the 10. And so that's the spirit here. A lot of supporters coming here to support their aspirants. And so that's the mood here right now. You can see a Jama section right behind me, very charged, playing some music just to make the place charged for the aspirants to go in there for their vetting. Philip,
have you spotted any of the parliamentary candidates? We know that we're going to have 11 as at yesterday. There was also 11, but today is 10, including the Ayawaso West the parliamentary hopefuls to be vetted. We have cited some of them or seen some of the parliamentary hopefuls.
all right, Philip, you know that all these aspirants have been given a specific time to be here. And so for each and every one, they are supposed to be here at least 15 minutes before their time. And so for the Honorable Agnes Na Molate, who is the MP for Krowo, the incumbent, is supposed to have started her vetting at 9 o'clock. And so she was here, I'm told, at exactly 9, but that didn't happen because the vetting committee was not set to do that. And so she is here, and I understand that she is in the vetting room facing the committee. So she is the only incumbent member of parliament that I have spotted here. We are expecting the MP for Clote Pole, that is Dr. Senator Rollins, to also be here. But aside that, I haven't spotted any incumbent member of parliament. The people that I see here with their supporters are individuals who are aspiring, who are first aspiring to be in parliament for the first time. And so, Philip, we are yet to see more members of parliament who are seeking a return or a re-election to be here.
As my colleague in the sitting room, she is at the NDC regional office at Southla, bringing us up to speed of what is happening there concerning the vetting exercise of parliamentary candidate hopefuls, hoping that they will become members of parliament going forward. And as at yesterday, a number of the parliamentary hopefuls were vetted. Like she indicated, the Krowo constituency will be having Honorable Agnes Na Molate, who is the incumbent. Also, they would have Ni Papo Ado, Dokas Na Afote, and also Enoch Bote, and also Daniel Alabi, all who will be vetted this morning from the Krowo constituency.
For me, I think that when it comes to the NDC's elections, the parliamentary primaries will be very interesting, and I'm more keen in observing the parliamentary primaries than the presidential primaries, and particularly in the Greater Accra region. You look at constituencies, you look at personalities, it tells you that there's a lot more you need to look. I mean, go to Ningo Pram Pram. Some George is contesting with a former chairman that he contested with in 2019. Now, in 2019, Sam George had projected that he win by 60%. In 2019, he said, oh, he's the MP, the people love him. You cannot just wake up because you're a former chairman and say that you're coming to win. So he win by 60%. He ended up winning narrowly with 7 votes difference. Yeah. And
it tells you that people are eyeing the various seats.
Yes.
The contest is keenly going to be contested.
It is. I also West Wogon. I mean, we've mentioned Fred Nyama and Dumelo.
Yes.
There's also one person.
Yesterday, Dumelo actually came to the regional office.
Okay.
But the vetting didn't
Interesting.
happen.
There's also one person, Moses Befie Champon. He's a former vice president of the University of Ghana SRC, a lawyer and a pharmacist, a very young guy, trying to make his way through the university community, which is one of the key determinants in the constituency.
And Francis Xavier Soso, MP for Madina, nearly had someone who he was going to contest with, but the person was disqualified, Prince Moses Zakaria, with the explanation from the vetting committee that he belongs to another political party, and from their checks, he's still a member of that political party.
And one name that is interesting for me is Dr. Pesa White.
Yeah. I think Shao Sudoku.
Shao Sudoku. I mean, we Dr. Pesa White, I think this will be his 3rd attempt or so. And if you go on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google, and you search Dr. Pesa White during election time, there were those pictures. It was braiding people's hair. It was helping them cook. So it'll be interesting what will happen. I mean, here on CTTV, when the time gets closer, we will try as much as possible to bring you all the dynamics and how to pan out. Adenta very interesting because we have the same kind of people. I mean, Adam Ramadan and also Oyelita
and Awuni.
Oyebampo Ado. Yes, and then so I think Adenta will be very interesting as well. But I should say that I admire the fact that Teresa Awuni has been made to go unopposed, because I think that the work she did in 2020 was extraordinary to have won the Okaikwe North seat from the NPP MP Hussein Issa. So in Greater Accra, there are a lot of constituencies that will be focusing on. Of course, my very own Dom Kwabena.
Exactly, and Dom Kwabena, in that constituency yesterday, I saw Israel Susule and also Elik Plim Akurugu. They are all in the race to become parliamentary candidates for that area. Well, May 13 will still decide, but the exercise didn't happen only in the Greater Accra region. It also happened in other parts of the country. Let's take you to the northern region and bring you what happened there.
NDC. We'll take you to the Northern region because the Northern Regional Vetting Committee has disqualified an aspirant seeking to contest the Tamale South seat in the Northern region. Professor Bawa Abdul Fattah, who is seeking to contest incumbent Haruna Idrisu in the constituency, has been disqualified based on grounds that he has not been active in the party for the past 4 years. Meanwhile, the committee says Professor Bawa is at liberty to file for an appeal against the decision of the party. From the Northern region, let me take you to the Western region. Now, in the Western region, the NDC on Monday began vetting parliamentary hopefuls for 14 out of the 17 constituencies in the region. The 3 constituencies left out are Evaluate, Jira, Ajumur, Amenfi East, and Takwa and Swam. In all, 35 aspirants submitted their nomination forms to contest the 14 seats. However, 3 members of parliament, including the MP for Wassa Amenfi, Isaac Ajay Mensah, MP for Pristiahuni Valley, Wisdom Kujo, and MP for Elembele, Emmanuel Amakofibua, who is also the Deputy Minority Leader of Parliament, are running unopposed. Now, speaking to City News in Sekedi, the Western Regional NDC Communications Officer Richard Kirk-Mensah says holding on with the three constituencies is strategic to the fortunes of the party in the region.
So far, it's been so good. A lot of misgiving. But we cannot say anything as we speak. The vetting committee will have to finish and brief the media about the outcome. So whatever you are hearing around is rumor by rumor. I was inside. I know what is happening there. We have not come out with any concrete evidence on anything. So let us finish. When we finish the vetting, we will know who is qualified to contest, who was vetted. That some even on vetting agree that they will step down. So let us finish the whole process, and we will give the media the whole briefing of whatever transpired. We have a strategy in place to run and make sure at the end of 2024 elections, we have majority of the parliamentary seats. We've done it before. 4 years ago, we put on hold fees. Everybody was saying, why have you delayed the election? But we know what we were doing. We went ahead and won the election.
So that is coming from the Western region. The Ashanti region had their vetting. Also, when you go to the Central region, you go to the Upper East, Upper West. Almost all the regions in this country had took part in the exercise. Like we indicated that here on CTFM and CTTV, we're bringing you all the updates concerning the vetting for the parliamentary candidates.
And one thing that viewers should be looking out for is the number of professionals who are moving into contest the parliamentary primaries for the NDC. I mean, a professor at the University of Ghana, the general secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, yes. In the Volta region, there's the acting Volta regional health director. Yeah. He's contesting the Keta seat, and so a whole lot of persons moving from their professional field into politics. So, of course, the game has just begun for the politicians and for observers and analysts who are interested in looking at what exactly will happen. This is a key thing to do going into the 2024
But the New Patriotic
election.
Party, that's telling it in the release a statement concerning what they are also going to do concerning the parliamentary and the presidential primaries, if you have that.
So the New Patriotic Party is hoping to organize its presidential primaries first, and then it will then organize the parliamentary primaries. But the parliamentary primaries has been broken into two for orphan constituencies. Now these are constituencies that do not have sitting members of parliament from the NPP, and then constituencies with sitting MPs. Now, for the presidential primaries, nominations are expected to be open on May 26, 2023. The process will go on, and the Congress for the election is expected to be on 4th November 2023. Orphan constituencies will have their nominations opened on June 16, 2023. Elections are expected to take place from 1st August to 2nd December 2023, and constituencies with sitting MPs, opening of nominations 20th December 2023 and closing of nominations 4th January 2024, elections 24th February 2024.
Exactly, and we'll be following that as well closely and bring you all the update on that. Let's move away from the NDC vetting and bring you another story about the new revenue taxes that have been passed by Parliament, and some traders are saying that, or traders in the beverages and related products in Kumasi are predicting dwindling sales and collapse of businesses following the passage of these taxes.
Who deal in beverages and related products in Kumasi in the Ashanti region are predicting dwindling sales and collapse of businesses in the coming months with the passage of 3 major revenue bills by Parliament on Friday. City News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani has more.
Janet Akomia operates this shop where beverages and other soft drinks are sold on a wholesale basis. On a normal day, she receives customers from from communities in parts of the Ashanti region who buy her products. But recent hikes in the prices of these products are getting her customers to complain.
A lot of them complain about price, the way they increase price nowadays. So some will come in and then you might, maybe yesterday you bought the thing at maybe 90 cedis and today you buy it at 120 cedis and be like, why is that your things are, you are increasing price anyhow? And I'll be like, I'm not the one increasing price, but those who bring it are those increasing prices of goods. So it's not my fault. So they've been complaining about how things have been increasing. The price of items have been increasing now.
Parliament on Friday, March 31, 2023, passed the Excise Duty and Excise Tax Stamp Amendment Bill 2022, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2022, and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill 2022. The Excise Duty Amendment Bill, which will impose a 20% tax on cigarettes and e-smoking devices, as well as sweetened beverages, spirits, and wines, is projected to rake in about 400 million Ghana cedis annually. Janet says her business is threatened by this tax.
Because of the taxes, the amount of sales will reduce. That's the first problem. And then the main burden will be like, we will not get the money to pay our workers and also the rent fee, because at first maybe I earn 1 cedi from each of all the goods here. Each I earn 1 cedi. In a day I can sell about 100 packs. I earn 100 cedis within a day. So within a day, maybe I'm paying my employers about 200 cedis a month. Let's say that 200 cedis a month. So I assume that within a week, by the end of the week or 2 weeks, I'll get the money to pay them. Then the next 2 weeks will be for rent and some other little expenses. Right now, I don't sell that 50 packs again. Right now, I sell about 100 packs again, sorry. I sell about 20 or 30 packs. I can't get that money because 30 cedis a day divided times 30 days. Can you imagine that it's only 900 cedis and I'm paying about 600 cedis to only my employers. I'm here to pick taxes from this same money, 900 cedis. I also pay rent fee, light bills, and other things. So meaning that you always run at a loss.
Customers come from far and near to purchase these products from wholesale shops like this one. These retailers are equally worried about the inimical effects of the taxes on their businesses.
10 cedis, 20 cedis, 30 cedis, 40 cedis. I come 5 cedis increment no must raising high abasana ya bread so person this 20% into media and person collapse business bi a Ghana ha bia ya mwai
to ba fan na no enema mienu sika na wo da afa baako esa na sika na so ate wo ba fan na ma kitue bi se na ne bo bebre sika bebre na ya da afa na ma kitue bi e kwa na ka sika nie.
In October 2022, traders at the Kumasi Central Business District closed their shops over what they said were exorbitant tax policies affecting their businesses. The leadership of these traders view the recently passed tax measures as one that will push many out of business.
We are already in a system we cannot predict what will happen tomorrow. The surest prediction I can give is that business is going to collapse and more businesses are going to get collapsed. We're going to lay off a lot of people. We are going to default in our loan repayment with the banks. That is what I can predict. And I can also predict government will not be able to rake in such money he envisaged to rake, because there will not be businesses for him to tax them.
For now, traders like Janet can only do the simple thing of passing the cost on to their customers.
Now, wholesalers at shops like this one say they will not have any option than to pass on the burden onto the consumer. But retailers who are coming here to purchase their items say their businesses are on the verge of collapse. Hafiz Tijani, City News, Kumasi, Ashanti region.
So this issue is one that is affecting, or most stakeholders in the production industry are complaining about. Let's put it that way, because Guta is complaining. Association of Ghanaian Industries is also complaining. We have Chamber of Commerce complaining. And interestingly, yesterday when Kofi Adams was on the Point of View show, he said that the clerks counted strangers to favor the majority. One may ask, who are the strangers in Parliament?
Well,
that got into the counting of the majority and also eventually the passage of the taxes.
Strangers perhaps could be at the time the vote was counted, the first vote was counted, and there was a call for a division. A member of Parliament was not in the House at that particular moment and joined later. And then there are procedures on which people when division happened. So I don't think that strangers necessarily meaning persons who are not members of Parliament. I mean, but that procedure has gone on already. If the minorities still have some challenge with the process, they know their own procedure, and Parliament is a master of its own rules, and they can go through their rules to see if they can correct it. But as we have it now, these bills have been passed by Parliament, waiting the assent of the President to become law. We've seen of reports of some players within the industry saying that they are going to seek audience with the President and try and make the President understand why he shouldn't assent to it. I don't think that will yield any results.
Why do you think so?
Much, because we understand that the taxes themselves are essential components in the seeking of the IMF support, and government has been channeling all its efforts towards getting this support.
Prior to the passage of these taxes, the Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah was pleading that at least everyone should come on board to ensure that it's been passed, and here we are now.
Yes, so that's why I'm saying that I'm a bit skeptical if that plea will fall in good ears. The NPP will want us to understand that the President is a listening president. I don't think that this is one of the issues that he may listen to Ghanaians. But generally on the point of taxation, I mean, we have a government that campaigned on moving from taxation to production. I mean, we can list a number of taxes that we have been imposed upon us. I mean, let me use imposed for the want of better words. And after the COVID era, a whole lot of taxes, sanitation levy.
COVID is still there.
Yes.
COVID is still there.
And the point these businesses are complaining is that, I mean, when you're a businessman, at worst you want to break even. And if these taxes will increase cost of operation to the extent that they cannot even recoup their investment, then the only way to do this is to impose more, to increase the cost of these products. Now, by increasing the cost of these products means that the cost of living will increase. The cost of living increasing will mean that the income of people will continue to dwindle.
Exactly.
And then standard of living definitely will be affected.
And in the coming days, certainly we'll be having prices of goods go up.
I mean, Gutta has made it known, the beverage, and you know, a number of people who take these beverages. Of course, you may argue that some of these are not of necessity, and you want to take it when
I always want our viewers to be
to
aware of these taxes. Just reiterate what the taxes are, just briefly, then we can go on a quick break and come back and give you more stories on it. But just briefly on the taxes, if you have them, you can share that thoughts with us, with our viewers.
So the bills that we have that have been passed on Friday, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2022, the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill 2022, the Ghana Revenue Authority Bill 2022, and the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2022.
So you can still read more about this or have more information about these taxes and what it stands to do in this country, i.e. for production, and why the reason why stakeholders in the production industry are complaining about these taxes. You are still watching CNR Extra here on City TV. Still to come. The Electricity Company of Ghana continues its disconnection exercise. Stay with us. We'll be back with more stories.
Serene, pristine, natural. This is Maha Beach Resort, set on the seafront in Atuabo in the rich oil and gas hub of the western region. The warmth of the resort can fill your soul. Our well-receptive environment brings you home away from home. The strand of beauty detailing the state-of-the-art facility makes your stay even more fun within the well-thought-through architectural features, hosting all sorts of fun games. Maha Beach Resort has an assortment of packages for all occasions. Maha Beach Resort, redefining indigenous hospitality.
Welcome back, and let's bring you more stories, and that has to do with the Electricity Company of Ghana. The company has disconnected Atlantic Life Sciences Limited from the national grid.
Now, the Electricity Company of Ghana has disconnected Atlantic Life Sciences Limited from the national grid over an 800,000 Ghana cedi debt as of March 3rd, 2023. Now, Atlantic Life Sciences Limited was commissioned in 2022 by President Akufo-Addo under the government's One District, One Factory initiative.
The Electricity Company of Ghana is racing against time to pay its power producers, being the IPP, Power Authority, talk of Gridco, and a number of other institutions that are producing power for them to distribute to customers. So, being in the third week of this exercise, the Electricity Company of Ghana says is going out brutally against all of its customers that do owe the power distributor some sort of money. Hence, starting from this particular place, which is the Fabric Metal Company Limited, they owe to the tune of about 4 million Ghana cedis. And the task force has gone in to engage with management of Fabric Metal. And the resolution is that they are going to settle 2 million out of that amount and do the rest roughly by Thursday, where they would be able to raise the rest to clear their debt. So far, we're going to move to another location where we are hoping to engage or see what the task force is all about. But to put on record, the task force that I am moving with within the Tema region is chasing about 80.5 million Ghana cedis. That is from about some 25 companies on their list. So as this team is chasing some 25 companies, another team is also elsewhere chasing other customers to redeem their payments before the end of this whole exercise by April 20. So we are moving to another location now to see how the exercise goes. Atlantic Life Sciences Limited, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies or production companies in the country, by extension in the West African sub-region, has been taken off by the tax force from the national grid over a 500,000 Ghana cedis debt that they owe. It was 800,000. They've managed to settle about 300,000 of it, but the tax force won't have any of that. They've asked them to settle at least half of the 500,000, but they are unable to cough out such an amount, and they've since been taken off the national grid. And this is the second place we are visiting in the day. Managers of these facilities would have to come to a certain level of compromise, or by some level pay that amount of money to be able to be restored to the national grid. But as of now, leaving their premises, they've reconnected to their plants, so they are depending on external power source, a secondary power source, to power their operations here at the Atlantic Life Sciences Limited on the Aplawu Strait, not too far from the Saglemi Affordable Housing Unit. This is one of the One District, One Factory initiative or investors that has come into the country, that was commissioned by the President of the Republic of Ghana last year. And ever since they started operation, they've been able to produce some pharmaceutical products, and they've been able to sell or export some of their products across the sub-region. So we've come to the quarry where people, a company here, TT Quarry, is breaking stones, rocks, and also making sales. And they owe over 300,000 Ghana cedis. They've been asked to settle at least half of that. And the company owner says he's not present, and his present location is quite far from town, so he's been given the benefit of the doubt for him to settle 250,000 Ghana cedis by tomorrow morning, and they will receive the reports and then subsequently move in to do business with him. My name is Fred Duo, reporting for City News.
The Electricity Company of Ghana is embarking on this exercise to retrieve some 5.7 billion Ghana cedis owed it by companies, individuals, and all that. Meanwhile, the We Power Authority also came out to say that they're also chasing the Electricity Company of Ghana as over some 600 million USD.
Well,
you're chasing this one. This one is chasing this
ECG has maintained that its creditors are after them, and reason that they also have to go after people who owe them. And I'm glad they've been able to keep the momentum. I hope that they're able to retrieve the money that they can. I mean, ECG is one of the important institutions we have as a country, and when it comes to private-public engagements, there are certain services. Sometimes a number of scholars within economics will hope that it becomes the preserve of the government, and some of these include utility.
Exactly.
But we can confidently say that it should only be the preserve of the state when the state is showing some form of efficiency in how it is running institutions that give out such services. And so if ECG will do this and be able to keep our lights on, be able to pay its creditors and make sure that ECG functions appropriately, I think that we all have to support.
A very important one. And if you are an institution or an individual and you owe the company, you should as well try and pay. Meanwhile, an aspiring assemblyman for Mampon electoral area in the Lower Manya-Krobo municipality of the Eastern region has been detained at the Odumase-Krobo police for allegedly engaging in illegal power connection. The team from the power distribution company, that is the ECG, yesterday, that is on Monday, 27th March, disconnected the meter of Mr. Tete for meter bypassing. Emmanuel Tete, a leading member of the NPP communications team in the Lower Manya-Krobo, according to sources, illegally reconnected power to his pure water company located as Nwaso Newtown, following an earlier disconnection by the Electricity Company of Ghana. This tells you that they are leaving no stone unturned, and when they get to your facility and you've done something of that sort, or you're supposed to pay, and you refuse to do so.
You know where Nwaso is?
Where is it located?
Nwaso is in the Lower Manya-Krobo municipality. I mean, you remember last year the ECG had over 4, 5, 6 months of engagement with some residents of Lower Manya-Krobo
when the
refusing to accept prepaid
meters.
And residents of Nwaso had to live in darkness for
a very
close
long
to
time.
3 months without power because of some of these consents. I think the last thing we should be expecting is somebody like an assembly member who is an authority in the community to be engaging in such activities.
Well, so that tells you that the company is leaving no stone unturned, and certainly they want to retrieve their 5.7 billion Ghana cedis owed it by companies and individuals. Away from that story, and the district chief executive of Gomwa East, Solomon Dako, has described the eviction that happened last Thursday for some 1,000 residents of Sun City, a suburb of Gomwa Budumbram, as an exercise that wasn't authorized. Let's bring you that insight.
Aspiring Assemblyman of the Mampo electoral area in the Lower Manya Krobo municipality of the Eastern region has been detained by the Odomasa Krobo police for allegedly engaging in illegal power connection. A team from the power distribution company on Monday, 27th March, disconnected the meter of...
Exactly. So this was actually the story we're talking about the Nyaso Newtown incident where the assembly man was engaged in some illegal connections. But let's bring you the insert of what is happening at the area, which is the Gomwa Budumbram, following the eviction exercise that happened there.
Meanwhile, an aspiring assemblyman of the Mampo electoral area, member of the MPP communications team and the Lower Manya ECG team. He also failed to report to the ECG district office after being summoned by the company. He, however, illegally reconnected himself again, leading it to his arrest and detention on Monday.
And hopefully we'll bring you that insert. But let's have a brief conversation on that. And this exercise happened at Sun City, a suburb of Gomwa Budumbram. The exercise that the district chief executive held a press conference and spoke extensively on it, saying that it's an act of insurgency on the district, and that the district assembly wasn't informed properly on this particular issue. This morning I heard on the City Breakfast Show when Bernard Avler was talking extensively about that institutions must work, authorities must be up and doing and ensure that the right thing is done when it comes to issues like this. Because you don't go to a place saying that you have a legal document or say a lawsuit or an order from the court that you should evict people and the assembly is not aware of it. This is unheard of.
You see, when it comes to implementation of court orders, there's always been a concern on who should implement a court order. So usually there are those who believe that court orders ought to be obeyed by themselves because the court has the power to compel people to obey them. So if the court gives an order, say issues a prohibition order against you that Philip don't do ABC, and Philip you go and do ABC, the court has its own powers. It can issue contempt charges against you. It can hold you in contempt and compel you to do certain things. Or if the case is between both of us, should I come and put the law in my own hand in trying to force you to do certain things? I mean, there are those things that exist, and that is why the DC is very pained at what has happened, because if a group of people are living in an enclave for a number of years, and rightfully so, you've gone to court to declare that that land belongs to you, and you want those persons to leave. I mean, we usually say that when we say add a human face to your action, that do not mean that allow the people to be there, because if rightfully so, the property is yours. You have every right to claim it back.
Exactly.
But you have to do so in the confines of the law. And it is wrong on all angles not to give the people enough notice. I mean, if they have been given sufficient notice, and if the assembly has been sufficiently informed. I mean, when we had the DC yesterday, he noted that the assembly could have given an alternative support to these residents if they have been given sufficient
very important
report.
Because you just don't leave them at the mercy of the weather like that and ask them to relocate. But certainly we will bring you an update of this story concerning what is going to happen or what is happening at Budumbram over the eviction exercise that happened there. You are still watching CNR Extra here on CCTV. Still to come. Scores of NDC supporters throng High Court in Tamale to solidarize or to show solidarity as hearing of criminal case against Savelugu Member of Parliament Jacob Idris continues. Stay with us, we'll be back with more stories.
Hooray! Harvest Praise is 25 years. Come and let's celebrate 25 years of sharing his story and his praise. Ministering at the Silver Jubilee edition is praise and worship legend John Moen. God is good all the time. The young, sensational and anointed minstrel Moses Bliss. And the host choir, the Evergreen Harvest Gospel Choir. As always, Harvest Theatre will deliver a soul-inspiring drama performance. Join us at the UPSA Auditorium on Good Friday, 7th April 2023, 4 p.m. sharp. Tickets, single, 80 Ghana cedis, double, 150 Ghana cedis, and VIP, 150 Ghana cedis. Dial *725*1155# on all networks and buy your tickets now. Tickets are also available at Airport Shell, Bachana Total, Sunny 88.7 FM, and all Harvest Chapel branches in Accra. Children are not left out. Children from ages 5 to 12 will enjoy an awesome experience at the HP Kids session featuring King's Kid, Louis Pascal, Casa Harry, and many more. Entry is free for kids once you purchase an adult ticket. Come, let's celebrate. It's the Silver Jubilee. Harvest Praise. Get your praise on. See you there.
Welcome back, and let's bring you some more stories. As cause of NDC supporters throng the High Court in Tamale to show solidarity as hearing of criminal case against Savelugu MP Jacob Idris continues.
As scores of NDC supporters thronged the Judicial Service Department in Tamale on Monday morning, where the High Court was hearing a criminal case against the Savelugu Member of Parliament, Jacob Idris, of alleged possession of firearms without lawful authority. The court on Friday, March 31st, issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the Member of Parliament, who was also the second accused over his absence in court on 2 occasions. Our Northern Regional correspondent Dinah Ingwan was at the court and came through with this report.
Hundreds of NDC supporters gathered in front of the Tamale Judicial Service Department on Monday morning to solidarize with the Savelugu Member of Parliament, Jacob Idris, who is standing a criminal trial. It will be recalled that during the 2020 general elections, there were some electoral violence in Savelugu in the northern region, which led to 1 death. Subsequently, the police, upon a tip-off, conducted a search at the NDC constituency office, where an AK-47 rifle and 60 rounds of ammunition were retrieved at the party's office and was alleged to be owned by the NP. 2 persons, thus the NP and a chief, were later arraigned. However, on Friday, 31st March 2023, the MP, who is also second accused, was absent in court for the second time. This did not go down well with the court, hence a bench warrant was issued. On Monday, April 3, the counsel for the second accused praised the court to rescind the bench warrant, arguing that his client has been consistent in attending the hearing and his absence on those few occasions was not deliberate. He added that the accused is interested in the case and is ever ready to cooperate with the court to see the end of the case. In response to the counsel, the judge, Justice Richard Kujapwa, said the reason given by the defendant for his absence was not convincing enough, hence the bench warrant. He, however, granted the request of the council, noting that the warrant has not been effected. The Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, who is one of the lawyers for the defense team, spoke to the media after the court granted their request.
We just want to assure you that the Honorable Jacob Abdullahi is a very responsible elected member of Parliament and would never ever be a fugitive of justice. He probably did not exercise good judgment in the reason he provided to the court, which did not please my lord. But subsequently, we have to avoid a third occurrence of this, and I'm sure he's accordingly advised.
The MP who was present in court wants the existing laws to be reviewed so that sitting Member of Parliament can be pardoned.
Haruna Idrisu, who is the MP for Tamale South, spoke as a lawyer of the accused, that is Jacob Idris. But Hanson, what is your brief comment on this? Then we can wrap up.
It's interesting, the views of the Honourable Member of Parliament for Tamale South. I mean, you know, we run a system of rule of law, and what rule of law tells us that you go according to the law. The law is above everybody, including members of Parliament. However, there are exceptions, and so when it comes to criminal and civil procedures for members of Parliament, accordingly Article 117, you cannot serve a member of Parliament or arrest a member of Parliament when he's on his way to Parliament or he's returning from Parliament. Now, you have to go through a certain procedure by notifying the Speaker. The Speaker can give you permission. I mean, we've seen cases just in this past few years of members of Parliament, Okujeto Ablakwa, Mahama, Yariga, a host of others. Yes. And so, but what the Honourable Haruna Idrisu is seeking to argue is that when we've gone through the process, you've been served, you've been arrested, you've been arraigned, the case is ongoing, you've gone for your first appearance, it's been adjourned to say 11th April. Then on 10th April, it happens that Parliament will be considering a major bill on the 11th of April.
So you definitely have to do that.
You have to be, now, you have to be in Parliament and you have to be at court as well. The MP is advocating that can we have a system where we can excuse you at the court, and he's bringing in issues of separation of powers because Parliament is an entity on its own with its own independence and also its members.
The masters of their own law.
It's interesting how this will pan out. I don't know how we can stretch Article 117 to include this because, Philip, you got to know, I mean, we are journalists, we are not members of Parliament.
Exactly.
We got to know that Parliament was going to lay these bills on Friday, as far back as Monday. I mean, can you tell me that this member of Parliament didn't know that these bills will be laid by Friday? So from Monday to Friday, how is the emergency such that perhaps the court couldn't be notified ahead of time and a plea for, say, a change of time for the hearing? But it's interesting the extent to which the MP is seeking to explore separation of powers.
And of course, let's see how it pans out. Well, the issue is still at court. And this is how we wrap up today's edition of CNR Extra here on CCTV. My name is Philip Ni Lati. I did this with Hanson Ajima. Many thanks for your time and keep watching CCTV.